How y'all are? You know, I'm not allowed to show reloading. I don't know how in the world these companies, YouTube channels, show and demonstrate reloading on camera on YouTube. Because it specifically says in the rules, you're not allowed to show video of ammo being reloaded or guns being built. You know, and I don't know how they do it, but I reload. Well, it doesn't hurt to talk about it. We can talk about it a little bit. I'm shooting a 158 grain full metal jacket 38 special that I loaded the other day. How much did it cost? Well, it cost a dime for the primer, 6 or 7 cents for the powder, about 18 or 20 cents for the bullet, and my time to put it together. If I cast the bullet myself, and I got a lot of lead, buddy, I count it as the bullet don't cost nothing. You know, and I'm fixing to cast up a bunch. We're just trying them out to see how they shoot. And they shoot pretty good, buddy. These are extreme 158 grain flat points. I got them because I don't have one, but my buddy's got a bunch of one of those 357 Marlin lever actions, and I want to be able to shoot it on camera, so I loaded up some ammo for it. And this stuff shoots pretty good. 4.7 grains of unique. Question is, should you start reloading? Well, right now it's not too bad. A year ago it was kind of hard to get primers, especially small pistol. That was because everybody was buying every round of 9mm they can get, you know, and the companies that load ammo, the factory companies, the new ammo companies, you know, were using all their components to keep their orders filled. So that's where it comes from. Primers, you know, there's nobody out there manufacturing primers that I know of strictly for the reloading market. All the major ammunition manufacturers manufacture their own primers. And then they package primers that are excess to their manufacturing process and sell them as components. Winchester manufactures its own powder. They have 2 powder plants around the country. Fortunately, none of them have blown up lately, you know, and they manufacture their own powder to load into their own ammunition. They manufacture their own bullets. They extrude their own cartridge cases. They're an in-house, just like Remington used to be, just like Winchester is, just like Federal is. I'm thinking Federal buys its brass already extruded and stamped, and it comes into the factory that way. Some calibers, you know, like that. And then they sell the excess from year to year as reloading components. So nobody's out there making. So when there's a run on small arms ammunition like there was 18 months ago, you know, you couldn't get anything. Regulation doesn't help you much. Regulations on the petrochemical companies by the current administration, those costs have gone up, therefore they passed along certain things to you. You know, your gas is more expensive. Well, when your gas is more expensive, the petrochemicals that are used in ammunition production and powder and so forth are more expensive. Plus there's extra regulations on that. You know, and the Democrats have always tried to drive ammo companies out of business by over-regulating them. You know, so you wonder why. Well, they're not doing that and they're not doing this, and everybody's got a weird-ass theory, and when it comes right down to it, what is it? It's regulation. You know, it's them fighting regulation. Either fighting regulation in the courts or trying to figure out some way to raise their prices up because the regulations come up behind it. You're operating a powder mill and they charge you $2.5 million to operate that powder mill, and then next year they charge you $7 million to operate that powder mill. See? And you wonder why primers went from $26 a thousand, to $126 a thousand. Well, there's your reason. They can't seem to get past the Second Amendment, constitutionally. So one of the ways to make a run at it is to make ammunition more expensive. They can't tax ammunition anymore than it already is because there's already a tax on it and has been since 1906. Okay? They can just make it more expensive by taxing you that way. They'll come over here, this brass extruder, he has to have a federal license to do that, and his license goes from here to here. The powder mill factory, it doubles or triples for their federal licensing and their regulations every year, and that's the way they put pressure on you, the ammunition consumer. The same thing goes for firearms. I can go down here and get me a license to manufacture firearms, O1s or machine guns or whatever I want to do. Okay? But the regulation on top of that is pushing the small manufacturers out. Getting the big manufacturers into where, we can charge more because there's not so much of this small stuff out there. So, should you start reloading? Yeah, I start reloading. I've been reloading for 50 years on the same equipment. I've got a reading scale for bullets. I've got a Lee scale for powder. I've got a reading charge dropper for powder. I've got a Lyman 6-hole turret press, and I've got an RCBS hand prime tool. It's got a rod with 100 primers in it and a little gizmo down here, and you swap them out, and you can really put positive pressure and priming on that. And that's all I've got. And with that equipment and my dies, I've loaded hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition, probably in the millions, just to tell you the truth. And requires a space about what I'm sitting at. I got my scale here, my powder dropper is here, my press is here, my priming gizmo is here, and that's it. Nice dry corner in your basement, you can produce millions of rounds of ammunition, as long as you can get the components. I've gotten a little crazier with it over the years. I started casting bullets about 30 years ago. I cast 38s, 9 millimeters, 38, 357 light loads, 9 millimeters just hot enough to cycle the gun. You can put gas checks on the back of bullets for a few cents more, and make them a little better. You can powder coat bullets pretty easy nowadays. All kinds of videos on it on YouTube. I put mine on, I get a strike. If you've got the time to fool with it and you work at it as a hobby, you can make your own stuff. If you don't load brass too hot, you can load it a lot before it gives. And typically it'll crack during the resizing process. Got a little tumbler down in the basement of Bought Harbor Freight, walnut shell media. If you buy it long as you go, it's a cheap hobby. I probably don't have $500 tied up in every piece of reloading equipment I have, and that includes dies. I stick with standard calibers, 38 9 millimeter, 45. I load 45 long Colts. Some 9 millimeter, but they're getting down there now where they're cheaper to buy than reload. 30-06, 308, 223. That's about it. and almost unlimited supply of ammunition. All you got to do is go find the components. And sometimes they're pretty easy to get. I'm down to where I'm loading and shooting lead with a gas check, 308 and 30-06 bullets. You know, and they're light. They're light loads. We're talking about 1,200 feet a second. But over here at the range, they're fun to shoot. Well, all right, then. There's a little conversation about the pitfalls of reloading. Hope it helped you out a little bit and give you a little understanding. Another thing, a big rumor. The federal government's buying up the ammunition to keep you from getting it. No. In terms of 5.56 and 308, they probably get more ammunition on the shelf, you know, through their efforts than the manufacturers do. Yeah, that's a fact. So the policy of the DOD is to return out-of-date ammunition to its manufacturer. And the manufacturer can make whatever disposition of that out-of-date ammunition they want to do. They only hold ammunition for 7 years. So all that ammunition goes back to federal. All that ammunition goes back to Winchester or whoever. And instead of them destroying it and recycling it, they clean it up a little bit and box it up in commercial packaging and sell it to you. And then sell the military more ammo. So the policy of the DOD at the current time, you know, probably puts more ammunition on the shelf than anybody else. Yeah. The federal agencies, and we have a lot of them. We have a lot of three-letter jacket agencies now. Some of them are required to qualify with a 500-round qualification course quarterly. But that takes a lot of ammo. I know one federal agency that requires the qualification to be done with duty ammunition, which is 10 or 20 round box high-end hollow point. Okay? So that takes a lot off the shelf. Do they buy a lot of ammo? Boy, howdy they do. You know, when I went to basic training was a 5,000 round rifle qualification course. You know, and we had 16 companies of basic trainees going at the same time. Get your little calculator out and figure that one up. You know, FBI Academy is a 3,000 round qualification course of fire. They'll shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. I know a guy that just come back from the academy. He's in his specialized training now. He told me, he says, after about the 9th week, they were at the range every day for at least 2 or 3 hours shooting. You know, and in a classroom for the next 6 hours. Or out running an obstacle course or something. You know, he said, they just shoot you to death. You're so tired of it. You know, at the end of the day, you're just wore out. So the feds use a lot of ammunition as general course. So if somebody comes along and says, you bought 15 million dirhams of ammunition, well, hell yeah, you did. You know, we bought 36,000 rounds of 5.56 for one agency in the Department of Corrections this year. You know, and that takes the academy and everybody's qualification and qualification from other institutions that don't have firing ranges, blah, blah, blah. You know, and you go 36,000 rounds of 5.56 in a year. You know, when you buy your cleaning supplies in 5-gallon buckets, chances are you're going to use a lot of ammo. I mean, I don't know how much I shoot in a year, but I buy my cleaning supplies in a gallon can. And I go through one, start on another in a year's time. Between running this channel and firearms training, it's a lot of ammo. Well, all right, that gives you a little insight into the world of reloading and ammunition procurement and so on and so forth. And it's probably a half-hour long video, too long to post. But I'm going to give it a try, and if you've got the nerve to sit here and watch it, I've got the nerve to sit there and make it. Love your neighbor. Call your parents. Tell them you love them, buddy. One day you won't be able to. Join the NRA. They'll sue them, buddy. USCCA won't. God bless America, and God bless each and every one of us. We'll see y'all when we see you. Bye now. Rant.